everyone, welcome back to Necessary Measures with me, Vanessa. Thanks for joining me. Remember to subscribe to the channel so that you can be notified when videos drop just like this one. And today we're talking about communication, so let's get started. Okay, so today's episode is all about communication. So all things communicating, talking with your kids, just to help you have a stronger and more meaningful relationship with them. Now, I know you might say that, okay, I talked to my kids already. Got that one, check. But I want to take this a little deeper, especially in the times that we're living right now, where we as parents have multiple roles throughout the day, from mom to teacher to cook to counselor to doctor and all that in between. It can get a little away from us to make sure that we're checking in with our kids. And I know it might sound like second nature to some, but honestly, I know I'm guilty of this. It is very easy to just get caught up in the routines of the day, right? And how we want things as adults to flow and to go for the day. But we do have to keep in mind that they are kids, right? And so being able to channel and see the world from their point of view, I think is so important and so impactful. And it could really mean a lot and go a long way. So, one of the things that I wanted to be sure to address is having meaningful conversations with your kids. So I know that when quarantine first started and, a lot of the tools that were available to us as adults were things where, it's like, okay, have a check-in with yourself, a spa day, or keep your mental health strong and things like that. But that also goes for kids as well. And honestly, kids are weathering this storm and this season quite nicely. I mean, they are just rolling with the punches, and I know it's different for them, and it may be hard not seeing their friends or being able to really be around others and go to parties or have their birthday parties, for example. But I honestly think that these kids are doing an amazing job, and I just want to put more of the focus on them during these times. And I mean, of course, right? We have to keep our sanity as parents. But one of the reasons that this first kickoff kind of heavier topics is on communication is because it is very important. And during this time, you don't want to rely too much on devices or TVs, which honestly, I was not a device person before quarantine, but I became more open to the idea of giving them their time, but everything in moderation, right? It's a balance. So though they can have, their devices and their screen time, but being able to, relate to them or get on their level at the end of the day or during the day, I think would be very impactful for your relationship with your kid. And so I want to get into a few tips that I have to strengthen your communication with your kids. So tip number 1 would be to check in with them. Ask them how they feel about things that are going on through the day. And so that could look like, I noticed that you wanted to talk to your friend today, like if it's a FaceTime call or something like that. I know that you want to talk to your friend today and he or she wasn't available. How did that make you feel? Is there anything that I can do to help you feel better? Would you like to play a game? Just kind of things like that, so that you're checking in with them, but you're also being able to get some insight into, their world, right? Because they'll share and they'll talk, and it might seem a little strange to do so, or it might seem as though it's not going to make a difference. But honestly, I think that when you take that time to just kind of pause, just check in with them, you're going to see a world of a difference. Communication tip number 2 is to give your children a sense of ownership, and do that by giving them choices. Again, I know that it's really easy for us to get caught up with the routines of the day, but just for example, hey guys, would you like corn dogs for lunch or pizza rolls. You know, just being able to have them have some type of independence during these times. And I know for me, I'm very regimented, and I don't know if it's because we got so many kids, but it really helps me, right? And so stepping outside of me and what works for me, and keeping in mind that, you know, they're kids and they like to have fun, and okay, doing something outside the norm might take us off schedule, but it's okay. It's their life too, and it's their world, and you want to be able to foster deeper and more meaningful what am I thinking of? Connections with your kids, and just this little, you know, tip I think would be very helpful. Communication tip number 3: don't get so caught up into what we as parents want. Allow the kids to tell you some of the things that they want. So for example, my husband went out of town last week, and so it was just me and the kids, and hubby is looked at as the fun parent. I'm looked at more as the not the warden or anything, but I run a tight ship, and I'm not afraid to admit that. But stepping outside of the everyday routine, I, you know, sat the kids down and I said, hey, Dad's out of town this week. What are some things that we want to do during this week? And, you know, they wanted to get the jumpy house out, which is an entire task, and not my first, not my first like go-to activity, because it takes, I gotta blow up the thing, I gotta get the extension cords out the shed, I have to clear the space in the yard. Like it is a task. And so not the very first thing that came to mind for me, but guess what's the first thing that the kids said? They wanted to do the jumpy house after school. Mind you, it's like 96 degrees on a good day and all sunshine in our front yard, and they wanted to, you know, after school get the jumpy house out. But although it didn't really mesh well with my system, being able to talk to them and communicate and gain insight into what are some things that they think is fun and that they want to do, that allowed me to put aside my feelings, and I got that darn jumpy house out, I think twice while Dad was away. So I don't know if I'm praising myself or it's a task, you guys. And to do so by myself, which I did incorporate the help of our 7-year-old. So he was so excited to help, and he, you know, loves to jump on it. So that was fun. And that's what it's all about. It's about having those connections and those memories with your kids. And it all starts through, you know, asking a question. Hey, what are some things that you guys want to do this week? Communication tip number 4 is going to be admitting to your kids when you are in the wrong. And what you will notice with this is that you'll see your kids opening up more to expressing when they make mistakes as well. But I did this in the classroom where I alluded to this in my last video when I said that it's not because you're the parent, you're all knowing, right? But it's more of a two-way thing. Like, we're in this together, right? This is your life just as much as it's my life, and we're experiencing it together. This is how I think, right? And so I admit to my kids all the time when, oh, you know what, mommy made a mistake on when I told you guys that, you know, you should be in bed by 8 o'clock. That's actually really early, and we have nowhere to go. And so let's stretch that out till about 8:30, 9 o'clock at the latest, because mommy still needs her me time. What are some things you guys want to do in that extra, you know, 30 minutes that you get to be awake? Doing things like that, I have found that I'll notice that, you know, even my 3-year-old, he'll come up to me randomly, which I think is like the best, but he'll just come up to me randomly and say things like, hey Mom, I shouldn't have did that to my sister. And sometimes I don't know what he's talking about. And because he feels comfortable in, you know, admitting something to me that, you know, that he made a mistake on, it allows us to grow our communication and have a deeper connection. So I think that's really important. Just admitting fault. We're adults, right? We make mistakes, and I think it's unfair for kids to see adults as never making a mistake. Like, in life we did everything correctly, and that's just not true. Like, come on, it's not true. My 7-year-old really enjoys hearing stories of when myself and my husband were younger and things that we did and why did we do those things. Like, he's very interested in like how we grew up and why we did the things that we did. And dad has plenty more stories than mom, but he still finds like joy in asking us about like our mistakes and things like that. So it makes for a cool family discussion. Oh, here's a bonus tip for you. I never believed in, and I feel like more of the millennial parents have this same belief system, but I never believed in using baby talk with my kids. I talked to them, you know, the theme is communication, right? So I've always talked to my kids, my students, the way that I would talk to a peer. I don't dumb down words. Oh, perfect example. I was giving my 7-year-old a lesson on why it's important for him to brush his teeth correctly. And I'll use air quotes with correctly because he tried to brush his teeth without toothpaste. Who does that? Oh my gosh, like, who does that? So I gave him a lesson on dental hygiene, right? And so throughout the lesson, I was using, you know, words like cavity and bacteria and plaque and decay, and you know, that's just an opportunity for not only him to learn new words, right, and learn them in context, but also for him to question them. Hey, what does that mean? Or sometimes, you know, especially when I got to the plaque part, I went in detail, guys. I was like, who does this? You have to understand why it's important. And so I think during the time we were talking about, you know, plaque, and he asked me, or I said, do you know what I mean by when I keep saying plaque, plaque, plaque? And so he said no, and so I pulled up like a YouTube video on like what was the video? I pulled up a YouTube video on like dental hygiene for kids, and they used and explained the terms, I think, better than me. And so he was able to understand, oh, that's why it's important. So just a bonus tip, just talk to your kids as if they are, you know, one of your friends. Okay, let me take that back. Kids will rise to your expectations, so don't feel as though because they are kids you have to use smaller words or not explain things fully to them. Just kind of keep in mind that they're learning and exploring this world, you know, day by day, and any opportunity you can take to break something down or follow up on something or go beyond something with talking, right, is just super impactful, and it will go such a long way. So that is it for the communication episode of Necessary Measures. I hope this helped. Leave some comments below for anything that you want to see, and share with me below if any of these techniques have helped you. So like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.